Hey, everybody. Welcome to 2MB Studios. Welcome to Thank You for Coming. It is Sunday night, 7 p.m., right here on 2MB Studios, on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, all owned and operated by the wonderful people at 2MB Studios. I'm your host, Mike Carr. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. If you are just tuning in for the very first time, let me tell you what the show is all about. It's an improvised show. We have two phenomenal improvisers hiding backstage right now. And by hiding backstage, I mean they're sitting in their homes because this is all digital because we're still dealing with the pandemic. However, they are here today. They're going to join me on the show. They've never met. They've never played together. Thank you, Red. It does still count as hiding. It absolutely does. They've never met. They've never played together, but they're going to meet and play for the very first time right here on the Thank You for Coming stage. And you're going to help. You're going to give them a location where their improvised scene is going to take place. And then they're going to improvise for the very first time. And then when that's over, I get to improvise with both of them, which is a very exciting thing for me. So yeah, this is a super fun show. I'm very excited to have my two guests today, who I'm going to bring out in just a minute. But before I bring my guests out, it's been a pretty big week for 2MB Studios for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to say happy 1,000. What is 1,000? It means 1,000 subscribers. That is what 2MB Studios has on Twitch. So that number is great. Let's make it more. So share the word. Spread the wonder of 2MB Studios as far as you can. They have 1,000 followers. Let's get more. Let's double that, triple that, quadruple that number as soon as we can, because the content happening on this channel is fantastic. So it should be seen by as many people as possible. And you can help also, because it's not just watching and subscribing, it's joining the Patreon. That's right. 2MB Studios has a Patreon now. What is Patreon? I don't know. I haven't subscribed yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to go to that link right down there, patreon.com/2MB Studios, and I'm going to join. My money is going to help support the channel, is going to help bring these incredible shows that you see on this channel and help support the artists that create the shows and also the artists that support this channel. So please take a look at that. I know there's lots of different levels, bread levels, because 2MB Studios, too much bread. There's different bread levels that you can subscribe each month that have different levels of reward for your subscription. So definitely check that out and definitely support the channel. All right. I'm talking, but I don't want to talk that much more. I want to get my two guests talking because they are such fun improvisers. First, this first guest, Boston, not a Boston native, but he lives there, lives in the Boston area. Maybe he also lives in the New Jersey area. I don't know. This person lives, he's gearing up for one of the greatest adventures of all time, frankly, which is finding gold on their hills. And those hills are the Jersey Shore. Please welcome my friend, Mr. John Serpico.
Thank you for having me, Mike. And if this show is about metal detecting, well, good news. We are going to fill this hour very, very easily.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, the scene might involve metal detecting. Who knows? But I definitely want to hear more about metal detecting. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second when I bring out your scene partner. John, tonight you're going to be playing with another wonderful improviser who I've had the privilege of working with for years down in Orlando, Florida. He's a coach, director, teacher, improviser, and also an outside-the-box thinker in terms of what this art form can do. Please welcome Richard Paul.
Hi. Hello.
Richard.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Richard.
John, nice to meet you.
Yeah, let's get to that.
Richard. Nice to meet you as well.
Richard and John, I'm excited to have you both here because when I think of like people who are incredibly smart and academic, I think of the two of you because you're both incredible. You think on a different level than I think a lot of people do. So I'm excited to see the two of you play and meet together. So that's why I paired you together. I was like, oh, John and Richard, these are two of my favorite thinkers in the world of improv. And I know thinking sometimes gets a bad rap, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the way you devise shows, the way you guys approach improv in general. So I am excited to watch the two of you play tonight.
You are setting the bar remarkably high.
Good. We can get under it.
Yeah,
it's real easy to
limbo.
Real easy to pass through. Real easy.
That's what I try to do. So first of all, we're gonna have you guys get to know each other. So you kind of did your introduction. Maybe give us the 30-second wrap up of what you're doing and of who you are and what your life's all about. So John, you're giving your 30-second pitch to Richard to let him know who you are, and then Richard will do the same. So take it away.
Sure. what is a life if it can be described in 30 seconds? Okay, so I'm splitting my time between Massachusetts, where I've lived for the last 20 years, and New Jersey, where I'm from. And I love both places very, very much. When I'm not doing comedy, I work in finance during the day. Since the pandemic started, I've been doing a lot of online role-playing games, either in front of an audience or just in front of my friends. Aside from that, I prefer strombolis to calzones. I think they're easier to eat. And I've been bald since 19. I think that's everything.
I nailed it. I think Richard was taking notes, actually, on your life. Is that... Richard, what are you? Are you taking notes on John's life?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. All right, Richard, it's your pitch. Tell John in 30 seconds-ish who you are.
Let's see. Yeah, Richard Paul. When I'm not doing improv, I work in healthcare innovation. I project manage design thinking projects to find new solutions to healthcare, whether it's facilitating, but also managing strategic projects for Abbott Health. And then working with SAT Comedy Lab in Orlando, Florida. Let's see, what else? I'm fascinated by the Netflix model, and I'm trying to buy stock in all of the models. Hulu, Disney Plus, Crackle. I would recommend everyone stay away from Crackle.
Okay.
I'm also taking notes, by the way.
Good, yeah.
Avoid Crackle.
Why should we stay away from Crackle? What's the deal with Crackle? Why should we avoid it?
Well, it's not user friendly because the only way that they have figured out how to fund their model is to have commercials. But the whole reason, one of the value adds for any consumer, right, is that there are no commercials when you have Netflix and you get straight to the content. That's why subscriptions are the model that'll stay for a couple of decades.
You have to wonder what's the hidden cost structure of Crackle that they are forced to supplement revenue with ads on top of everything. Yeah, that's very fair.
Now, if I'm a viewer and I only want to watch programming that's all commercials, then there's now you've got a value proposition that I'd like.
Oh yeah, if the movie Demolition Man taught me anything, it's that in the future commercials are a primary way for people to get entertained in San Angeles. So presumably Crackle is going to crest into market penetration at around 2032, if I remember my favorite movie correctly.
Well, yeah. All of the answers are in 80s films. That's what it is. All answers to life and economics you can be found in 80s films. Yeah. If people really want to fix a broken family system, just watch Uncle Buck. All the answers are in Uncle Buck.
Okay, so fun fact. My wife has had, over the last 10 years, one goal in this marriage, and it's to get me to watch the movie Uncle Buck. Because Uncle Buck slipped past me and I never saw it. And she's very insistent that it checks a lot of boxes in terms of movies I would enjoy. I like all of the other movies in that exact kind of constellation of movies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is an Uncle Buck DVD-shaped hole in my experience, and it breaks my heart. I don't even want to pretend to say. You know how sometimes if someone brings up a movie, you're inclined to be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that." I don't want to lie to you, Richard. We just met. I have not yet seen Uncle Buck, and much to my wife's chagrin, she hasn't been able to do that.
They talk about lies being categorized in different ways. There's obfuscating truth, and then there's lies of omission. But you're the first person I've ever met where the lie was omitting that DVD on your shelf of life experience.
It's a lie I told to myself. That lie is I don't need to see Uncle Buck, and that's probably the worst lie.
Hey, we all have that lie, in one way or another. I still haven't seen Sound of Music, and people get really bristled when they hear that.
It's one of those movies that's in that category of classics, but it's a when have you sat around and said, you know what movie I'm in the mood to watch the sound of music. Like, that's a rare opinion to have. It's like someone needs to be your guide. Like if someone rented a movie theater, like that. There's a small local theater, local movie theater called the Somerville Theater in Somerville, Massachusetts, where I live, and you can rent a screening room, and like it's like $100 or $200, and you can get like 20 or 30 friends in there. In the before times, back when people could get together,
go places,
and you could go places, see things, hug, And I feel like The Sound of Music is the perfect kind of movie. If like one of your friends was like, you know what, I got like $200 and I'm going to rent a movie theater, and then you see it there and the music and the sweeping vistas and all of that. But it's like, if it's like a Thursday night and you're like sitting at home, it's like, do I play video games or do I watch like this Criterion Collection movie?
Right.
Yeah, well,
I'm just not that happy.
I also feel like I love that idea, John, that like, I'll go see Sound of Music when somebody rents the theater. But do you want, like, is that the best first time to see that movie? Maybe because in a room full of comedian friends of yours, there's gonna be commentary, so you may not get. You'll have a great experience, I think, no matter what. But I don't know that you'll see the whole movie without that, and then you'll watch it later and be like, I remember this being funnier.
I just think I was going to say I just think that the only reason why you would watch that movie is out of like some Puritan obligation to your parents. You do it because you have to. It's practically
assigned reading.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're going to have family time. We're going to make some popcorn. We're going to get underneath the comforters, the blankets, and we're going to watch, and then we're going to be better as a family.
Yeah.
Damn it, we're going to be better as a family.
That's it. We've tried everything else. It's time to try this.
And that's usually the red line. If you're hitting there, you're like, this is it. After this, we're not a family anymore.
Mm-hmm. Then we're done. If this doesn't work,
Sound of roll the dice. But John, that's not what your wife is saying. She's really just talking about entertain. She's not saying this is a red line moment for us.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
right. I don't think so.
No. She just wants me to have a more robust set of the theatrical experiences.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah,
at least I certainly hope so.
I mean, if you're a fan of giant pancakes, that's Uncle Buck flips a giant pancake with a shovel. I mean, it's in the trailer. It's not a spoiler, but it's that moment is just it's such a joyful thing. I remember seeing that moment when I was younger and being like, I now want giant pancakes always.
There are those little moments like that, like from little bits of media that are just like indelibly inked in your mind. And, depending on your age, it depends on what that moment is. But like that little 2 or 3 second bit of a movie or a TV show. Like, I remember National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when they put the food wax on the
sled,
on the sled. And he takes off like a shot. When I saw that the first time, I'm like, well, I'm dedicating my life to sledding. That's it. That's the most fun thing that a person could possibly do. And they're just these little moments like that just end up kind of sticking in your head forever.
Oh, yeah. But then, what's funny is like that's within the realm of reality. Because when I first saw Indiana Jones Part 2, I was like, I want to have the power to rip a heart out of a human chest. And those aren't things that you can do because no one would stay around, still. Mm-hmm. I don't have that kind of finger strength. Yeah. And then I don't like the sight of blood. So I don't know if I can do it. There are a lot of
prerequisites there to get to that rip out the heart moment.
Yeah. So, that's what you need to know about me.
Normally, I just want to answer your question. Was it a sled? I think it was a silver saucer sled that he sprayed the cooking on and then zipped down the hill.
Yeah, like the circular one. And you could get plastic ones at like CVS now or like Rite Aid. But this was like a metal one. And I remember that like so clearly. Just it was at night. It takes off like a shot.
Yeah. This conversation has already been one of my favorite conversations that we started with on the show because we're talking about great movies and we're diving into like those moments that make us who we are. So I asked you both to think of a question to ask each other, and I would love to hear what questions you have. So John, What question did you want to ask Richard as a get to know you kind of question to start our show before we dive into our improv?
Sure. Richard, would you mind bragging about something that's not comedy or theater related?
Yes. I would mind.
Thank you. There you have it.
Okay, something I would brag about, and it's not anything that I can own, but it's the cuisine of Orlando. I can brag about that all day long because the cuisine's diverse. Obviously, with the pandemic, Grubhub and the access has increased. People can make livelihoods just being a go-between by delivering food or whatever. But one thing to brag about Orlando is that the cuisine is very it's nuanced, and depending on what part of town, and you see that in other cities, depending on what part of town you go, and you can get a deep dive. But what I like specifically about Orlando is that you find places that are just kind of like islands, and what I mean by that is that it's not like there's a large Polish community in Orlando, but you find some fantastic restaurants that represent, and so it's like this idea that the community is open to even the extremes, the fringes, and the fringes get an opportunity to showcase what they can do. So that's what I really like about it, is that the food diversity really reflects this desire to give everyone a shot to share the best of their culture's cuisine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I can second that. Ever since we've been back, we live very close to the. I don't know the Asian area. Like there's an Asian section of town with the food.
We're talking
food,
like 15. There's like a 15-mile kind of section.
Yeah, and there's a Vietnamese restaurant that the food is absolutely mind-blowing, and it's delicious, and it's authentic, and it's incredible. And there's so many great restaurants like that in Orlando. Yeah, so it's got a great food footprint, so to speak.
All it takes is like one family that wants to bring a specific type of food to a specific area, and then all of a sudden the whole dynamic of a city can change. Like one family, with like Polish heritage, or they came from Poland, said, what, we're in Orlando. What we can't find? We can't find good pierogies. We're gonna make a pierogi place, and then all of a sudden, like Orlando is that much more textured because of it. It's why anytime a restaurateur has a good idea, I will throw money at that good idea, because if it sticks, then the city gets better for it, and that's just it's so nice.
Yeah. I have a question for you, John. So my question, and at first I had one question, but it changed when I got to learn a little bit more about you. We all know that the largest success metric for the country is GDP. What must be the next success metric that this country needs in order to get it to a new vision of freedom, a new vision of prosperity for all? What are the other success metrics that we have been sleeping on that we should be bringing in?
So there is, and I'm trying to look it up very, very quickly because I always get it wrong. But there's a quote. So I work for one of the colleges up in Boston, and there's a quote on its public health building, literally carved into the concrete facade in multiple languages. And I don't want to bore us by like scanning the internet for the quote. But
Boris, you can't bore us, John. You're already been called a good storyteller in the chat, so you can't bore us. The bar, it's up here.
Well, I will not as yet spend the goodwill in the chat. I will summarize, and hopefully that's enough. But on the School of Public Health at the college I work for, is a quote in many languages that says essentially the measure of a culture is how it cares for the sick. And that's the metric. That's ultimately the metric. I think one of the highest callings of mankind is the alleviation of mental, physical, spiritual pain. The alleviation of pain. If we can live in a world without pain, that's pretty wonderful. And I think that if you are not converting GDP into the alleviation of pain, then your system of government isn't necessarily working. And there's too much pain in this country right now, considering the amount of gross domestic product we are generating. So when you were talking about the fact that you work in healthcare innovation, I dipped my toe into that water a number of years ago for about 5 years, and it's such a long road we have. But what is innovation in healthcare if not the highest possible mandate that a prosperous society can engage in? So I'm going to say that.
Wow, that's great. That's great. You might be interested in checking out Bhutan, as they've developed their own metric, which they call the happiness metric or wellness metric.
The happiness index of Bhutan. Yeah, I know. I read about that very recently.
Yeah, it's an interesting experiment, and several other countries are starting to experiment. Not because GDP really is, its advent really came out of the Industrial Revolution, and those structures are failing us. They're being outlived by the changes in society. We're more pluralistic. We're more diverse. More diversity of thought. We have more advancement because agency has been given to us. Because we would have to go through a television studio to do this thing. Look what we can do now. Like you and I, we could just create our own movies, and we have used as sophisticated equipment and technology as anyone else. So everyone has more agency, and that's what is so interesting. Improv, it is a great and direct parallel to innovation, to creativity, when we improvise with our other teams, with our teammates, we're always focused on the wellness index, the health. And it's at the times when we've seen those problems in our troops that we've all probably seen, where some people be more focused on the product and not the process, when more people are focused on looking great instead of the wellness of their partner and the quality of trust that's happening between them. We've skewed too far, and now we're starting to hear, especially with George Floyd, the death of George Floyd, the pandemic, and now the topic of ESG is, environment, social governance, that companies have to stop being dutiful to their shareholder, Milton Friedman, and focus more on giving value back to the environment and to people. So you're absolutely right, and we should be measured by how well we take care of the sick, the poor, and the disenfranchised.
Yeah. This is the first time in human history that from a total global population we have an excess of assets and material, which in the current world, the adage is poverty is a choice, or not. Well, no, poverty is not a choice, but from a government policy perspective, we have the ability to alleviate these things if everyone pushes from a policy perspective. And it's the first time in human history. It's the first time there's enough food to feed every human being in the world. And the fact that we see that, the fact that we're all wise enough and we have access to this amount of global information to see it, and the fact that it's not being done yet, makes this a very interesting transformative time. Well, because we know we can do it. We know we can do it, and we're not doing it.
We know we can do it, we're not doing it, and we're still stuck in structures of thinking where it's, quid pro quo. You got to give me value in order for me to give you value. And if we don't redefine what value is, then we're going to see more a widening of the pay gap. You're going to see more. You're going to see group governments going into deep isolationism, to radicalization. I mean, we see it. We're better collectively, but we're better collectively.
So, Mike, I'm very, very glad you brought a couple of healthcare folks together to talk about this stuff. This is it's definitely improv. Is the audience laughing yet? I don't know, but everyone is learning something.
They're all learning.
That is important.
They're all watching, and like I said, I putting the two of you together, I'm like, you're two very brilliant people to watch you come together and just talk about what we're talking about. Well, what you're talking about, I'm just listening and learning. Same here. I don't trust them either. But now we're going to get to watch you two improvise together more than you've already been, just chatting and getting to know each other. So I'm going to give you a location. We get some locations in the chat from our viewers. And the one that strikes me as a great place to start is outside unchaining your bikes. That's where that's going to be where our scene begins. The scene has to start with the line, "Thank you for coming." After that, the scene can go wherever you want, and I'll edit the scene when it's time for it to end. So I'm going to put you both into the green room real quick. Outside unchaining their bikes is going to be the suggestion for John and Richard. In just a moment, they're going to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, man.
If it was just me doing this bike ride, I wouldn't be able to do it. So, Simon, the very fact that we are both here means that the possibility of me actually doing this 10-mile bike ride is on the table.
Hey, Thaddeus, all we need is a little support in life, right? So I'm here, man. I'm here. And this is good for me. This is good for me.
Yeah, you know what it is I spent the whole winter thinking, all I need is like a workout buddy, and I'm gonna work out. And then I thought, well, who's gonna be my workout buddy? Because I don't want to put this on someone, then there's an obligation. So when I saw your Facebook post saying, "God, I wish I had a workout buddy," oh, here we are. This is perfect. This is already perfect.
Thaddeus, I thought you just needed someone to feel better, in comparison to your physical health. You think that I am like some sort of, a model, or some sort of that I'm going to somehow increase your ability? Like you think you think so highly of me?
Well, Simon, you went on. I have spent the winter ruminating on the fact that I feel trapped in my house, and then saying, "Oh, can I be vulnerable enough to ask for help?" And I just wasn't. But then I see you go online and say, "Hey, everybody, I'm looking for a workout buddy," and I said, "Well, you know what? Simon is a heck of a lot braver about this than I am." So here we are. You're inspiring me. I am. This is an exercise in vulnerability. I'm officially saying it. Simon, you are my fitness inspiration. I cannot wait to ride this trail with you. The future is ahead of us. How about that?
I was asking for, to see who would be available, but I was really just, I don't know. I just didn't want to be alone.
Yeah. And think of the bravery of that. You know what? Like, you spent, the winter for me is my alone time, whether I want it to be or not, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't want to be alone, but I have not yet asked to not be alone. But here you are asking. Okay. God, it's been a while since I've been on a bike. Okay. That's pretty good.
I don't know why I said bike ride. This isn't even my bike.
Simon, I'm going to get off the bike. That's not your bike?
I've been fumbling with the combination, the tumblers, for the last hour and a half before you got here, and I was just trying to hey, I picked the latest lock, and this lock is so complicated it takes 35 minutes to undo. And it's not true.
Who? Simon,
don't leave me.
I'm not. Simon, I'm putting down the kickstand. Okay. Do we know whose bike this is?
might have been, someone I scared off.
Simon?
I didn't know them all that well, Thaddeus, and so I was like, give me all your money! And then they ran. I just didn't want to be alone, man, and I didn't, I was in the moment, I was just in my living room, and the lights are off, and all my plants have died, and I go on Facebook, and it's like, hey, I'm looking for an exercise buddy, and I don't even know why I'm asking for it, but I am, and then as I put it in, I think to myself, surely someone's going to, and then you, of all people, and I thought, oh, and then it's like, wait a minute, he actually thinks I'm serious, that I'm going to somehow give him some help or guidance. So then I thought to myself, well, it would be, I'll just play the game. As long as he knows that I will stroke his ego and I'll make him feel good, and I'll show him that in truth he, is a stronger physical specimen than I am. I'll be inferior. I'll be inferior. Just hold my hand.
Simon, 2 things. 1, thank you for telling me all of this. 2, I think we've gone too far down this road to not steal this bike. At this point, we're committed. We gotta steal the bike, and then you and I are gonna go for a bike ride.
Thaddeus.
All right, come. If we both pull, we could probably break.
You pull your way. I'll pull mine.
I'm pulling.
Oh.
Come on. Oh, they make these things so good. It's like the person that bought this didn't want their bike stolen.
This was a workout. This was a workout.
Hey, my heart rate's up.
My hope is up.
Same. Pull again. We can get it. I know. We're committed now. Come on. Come on. Was this made from like a meteorite? How do they make these?
I don't know. They make these tumblers, and you have to figure out between 5 different numbers. Well, I don't even know the permutations. I would assume that if you have 5 numbers, each set of numbers 0 to 9, you can go ahead and calculate the permutations of the code, and you're probably looking at 3,200,043 permutations. Right. None of which gets us closer to a bike ride, but I just felt like sharing that.
Look, Simon, here we are. You've made a very bold admission. Our heart rates are up. We learn more about each other. This is a pretty successful first workout with my new workout buddy.
Me? Oh man, this is so cool.
Oh, well, heck, if you're smoking, I'm smoking. That's certainly a workout for the lungs, right?
You smoke too?
Yeah. So I wanted to start doing bike rides to kind of offset all the smoke I'm putting in my lungs.
I'm doing the Camel Crush. The Camel Crush. The ones with the filter. Inside the filter, you can change it from non-menthol to menthol. Want to hear it? You want to hear the crush?
Yeah.
Thaddeus, do you want to hear the crush?
I do.
Thaddeus,
yeah.
Do you want to hear the crush?
I want to hear the crush.
Listen closely.
Nice. This is a good day, my friend.
Yeah.
This is a good day.
It makes knowing that my wife left me a little less painful.
Whenever someone mentions an ex, or in your case, a soon-to-be ex, I always try to figure out what the right response is. Because I used to say something like, you're better off you're better off without her. It's like, I never liked her anyway. But you know what? That's a terrible thing to say, because that invalidates all of the effort you put in to the marriage. So what I will take to say instead is this: the road you're walking is tough, but I think you're strong enough to walk it. And that's all I will say about that.
I only broke one finger.
Yes. Oh, what a twisted world. I love
That's
it.
about as wholesome a scene about bike theft as I've ever seen.
I know.
I thought it was about people connecting and growing together.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
it was. It was also about a crime that was in process and eventually did happen.
It's like the Ocean's movies. The crime is merely a backdrop for characters exploring deep and textured friendships.
Exactly.
Hey.
Like a friend who reaches out into the world and say, "I need a workout, buddy," only because he's trying to steal a bike from someone. And then another friend who's like, "I need to get better at my life. I'm going to accept this offer."
No, I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to be alone.
Yeah.
No one wants to be alone.
No.
Those are my absolute favorite moments in all of improv, of all the million different components of this art form. My absolute favorite thing is in good scenes when that one line comes out and the whole audience says, "Okay, that's what this scene's about." It's like, this is a man battling against loneliness. Like, whenever I direct shows and I talk about that aha moment, or what is the scene really about moment, it's like, when you describe a scene after you did it, it's like, is it a scene on a space station, or is it a scene about loneliness that just so happens to be on a space station? And yeah, this was a scene about loneliness that just so happened to involve bike crime. And that's that moment when you see it, like when you sit in an audience and you watch it, you're like, that. I love it. I never get tired of that.
Yeah. You're fun.
Likewise, buddy.
Oh, you guys were so fun. It was so fun to watch. And now I want to play because I love you both. And John, we never really played much together.
We have never done a scene together, Mike Carr.
We haven't, so we're gonna break that. We're gonna break it. We're gonna crack that open right now.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to. Thank you for coming. We have two exciting improvisers that we're going to feature that have never played together. And we're going to start out with a question. Mike, what's the question you have for John? John, a question for Mike. Let's get to know how you two are going to work together.
Oh, Richard, you flipped the script on me. John, what's the one thing you hope to find with your? What is like if there's one thing in the back of your mind when you're bringing your metal detector on the beach? What's the thing that you're like, I really want to find this?
I have an answer to this. I want to find a class ring, because then I could do the research necessary to reunite the person with the class ring.
Most people, I feel like most people would say, I hope to find treasure. You were like, I hope to find homework. And I love that about it.
Are you kidding me? Like, you don't need to, like, if I want the gold and silver, there are websites. No, I want to use that metal detector to make a new friend.
That's way more fun.
Okay, I got a question for you. There's a food question, because Richard has gotten me thinking about the food scene of Orlando, which I have seen just so little of in my life, and I hope one day soon to change that. Is there, like, in Greater Boston, you look at Greater Boston's food scene, you look at Orlando's food scene, is there a restaurant in each place that feel like spiritual cousins of each other?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. Let me think. My favorite restaurant here is a place called the Outpost. The Outpost. Julie and I go there. We haven't gone there all the time just because we've been back in pandemic. But before we left, we've gone back a couple times because they just reopened and they have some nice outdoor seating. In a place called Maitland, which isn't too far. It's like right next to Orlando. But we used to go there all the time, and the owner is from Boston. Like one of the owners is from Boston. That? Yeah, so he is, and when we were moving, he was like, "Oh man, if I could find a place to open in Boston, we would open an Outpost in Boston." And Julie and I were both like, we'd be there on day one because your restaurant, it's a great atmosphere. The food is great. They do really cool cocktails and very different menu items. Their menu is just so great. So I don't know if there's a cousin for that necessarily, but that restaurant would fit in Boston perfectly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a restaurant that we went to that kind of had a similar vibe to that. There's a restaurant in the North End that I can't remember the name of that Julie and I went to for our anniversary before the pandemic, and it was
one of the 118 Italian places, or one of the other ones.
One of the 118 Italian places. Parla, maybe. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna manipulate my answer a little bit because Allison, you said the Field. Rest in peace, the Field. One of the wonderful plays. The Field and the Harp and Celt. Those places are similar. Richard knows the Harp and Celt. That's the Irish bar right around the corner from SAC, which is we'd finish shows. You go to the Harp and Celt. That's it. Why didn't that come to me sooner? They are definitely spiritual cousins. Absolutely.
Nice. Cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
It was Parla. So they gave you two. So Harp and Celt and Field, and Parla and the Outpost.
Noted. All right.
Yeah. All right. So now Richard took over, but I don't know. Richard, what do you want me to do? We only have a few minutes left, so we can do a scene with the three of us. That's what I'd like to do.
Back to you, Mike.
All right. And John and I will do a scene. I think, John, I'm just going to have you back on, and we're just going to do a scene between us, just because that would be a lot of fun.
I'm around. When I'm not metal detecting, I'm watching 2MB Studios. So
hey, one of the 1,000. All right. So the three of us are gonna be at a Little League baseball diamond. That's going to be our suggestion. I'm going to pop us all up the screen. We don't have to say thank you for coming to start this one. We can just dive into a scene. So we are at a Little League baseball diamond.
I'm just going to say it. I feel like now that we're all grown adults, we could probably hit home runs over the outfield wall, right?
I could do it. Yeah, I think I could. I think we could.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at least 30 years stronger than I was the last time I played on this field.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it this time, guys. I think I got what it takes to become an Empire. I'm going to do it this time.
Yeah.
All right. I got it. I'm going to the pitcher's mound. Dave, you can call balls and strikes. Chip, you can see if you can muscle one over the center field wall.
There's no time like the present. We have dreams. Let's live them out.
We are 30 years in. We are 30 years into our post-Little League life. It's time to start checking stuff off the bucket list, you know? All right,
it was only one question that I got wrong on the examiners, on the umpire examiner's test.
I don't understand why it's 100% for that, but it's like 60% to just graduate high school. You know what I mean?
You can be an astronaut if you get 85% right on the astronaut test. Why is being an umpire a 100% perfect endeavor?
Okay, 2010. Okay, 2010.
2010 is still better than most people's vision, and frankly, most umpires can't see anything other than 3 feet in front of their damn face anyway.
Now, what I'm wondering is, did they say what the question was you got wrong? Or is it one of those things where it's like you did the whole damn test and they said, you got one wrong out of 100?
They said try again for fall season.
Come on. That's it?
No! That's taking off time in my post Little League career. It's more Okay, we can pitch. We could.
All right.
Let's take the field. Let's take the field.
We're taking the field. We're taking the field. Okay.
All right.
Fine.
Here it is. Here it is.
All right.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
You should wear a. Do you want to wear a mitt? Do you want to wear a mitt? You should wear a mitt.
Jeez, umpires really don't have a lot of protection if there isn't a catcher right in front of them.
Yeah.
Kevin, bring me your mitt. Son, Kevin, bring me your mitt. Kevin!
He keeps running away.
Kevin!
Everybody, your game can start in a few minutes when we're done. This will all go a lot faster if my friend's son brings him a mitt, though.
Kevin!
Ow!
You know what? Maybe you pitch, and you just move when the pitch comes. Like, just get out of the way. You'll know if it's Jack's a good pitcher. You'll know if it's a ball or strike halfway, right?
I'm not trying to paint the corner here. This is going to be a meatball right over the middle. Also,
I appreciate that.
If you just swing and make contact, though, then he's going to be safe. I'm just saying. I'm throwing a meatball here.
Okay.
I'm throwing with the intention of you hitting here. Do not be selective about this.
I mean, if I'm going for big air, I have to be a little selective, right? I mean, I'm looking for my pitch to put it over the wall.
All right. I'm going to give you your pitch. I'm giving you your pitch.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to stand over here. Here.
All right. Up and a little in. No movement on this thing. This is a meatball of meatballs.
All right. That dropped. That had drop on it. Though. It had some drop.
Oh God! Please don't ask me. Please don't ask me to call that one. I don't want to say.
Sorry.
I don't want. If I call it might hurt our relationship. I don't want to.
Looked like a strike to me, though.
No, please don't. Please, I'm asking.
I thought it
don't
was
make it.
dropping out of the bottom of the zone. It looked like it dropped out of the bottom of the zone.
No,
That wasn't a sinker. I'm just not trying to throw heat.
You have natural curve.
Look, it's not my fault that my ligaments are perfect for this, okay?
All right, you're right. I should have swung. I should have bit. I don't know. I should have bit. I'm sorry.
Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute. Maybe I could render a decision.
Out of curiosity, what was that last pitch?
It was a ball.
You're missing a hell of a game up.
Attaboy, Blue. Attaboy, Blue. Attaboy, Blue. Good eye, Blue.
What do you mean? What do you mean I'm missing a game?
I don't know what you're watching, but it wasn't that awesome pitch with a little bit of sink. I painted the corner. It was north-south.
You said you weren't going to paint corners.
Hey!
Family's watching.
Hey! I'll be the umpire here, okay? Your meatball's a little wet.
Oh!
But are you an umpire, though? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know what? At the second it left my mouth, I knew it was wrong. Wow. The second it left my mouth, that was awful. And I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Ow!
I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Ow! I can feel the pain of the ball hitting my ball. Ow!
That was me.
Look, what are we doing here? We're trying to be the best version of ourselves, right? And we're falling apart. Let's remember what we came out here to do, to prove that we can still be that thing that we dreamed of being when we were 8 years old.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what? I'd like to think that all these players and all these families patiently waiting to get onto this field and play an actual regulation Little League game are willing to wait at least another minute for us to sort this out, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right down the middle. No movement at all. Okay?
You'll be able to make your call as a pitcher. You're going to make your call as a batter. I'll make my call as an umpire, and we'll be done with this.
Yeah.
We're going to close this chapter in our lives.
We're closing it. We're closing. This is the moment. All right, here it is. Little up, just like you like it.
Thank you. Did he hit it out of the park? We'll never know.
Who could say? Oh,
All right, hey, come back to the next season on that new Netflix episode series.
Right. That's the Netflix model. We got to hook them so they come back for season 2.
It's also streaming on Crackle if you don't mind commercials.
Yeah. Ballpark Franks.
Sock Fiddler gave you some love in the chat, Richard. I'm going to give you both some love right here and now. Richard, John, thank you guys so much for playing tonight. It was a blast. This has genuinely been one of my favorite shows. This is what the show is supposed to be. This is what I envisioned this show to be. This episode is one of the episodes that absolutely encapsulates exactly what I wanted from the show. So thank you both so very much.
Oh, what a pleasure. We had baseball, we had crime, we had healthy discourse on macroeconomics, we had healthcare innovation.
And we had clearly male midlife crisis.
Yeah, we're all there.
That's it. Maybe a tiny bit of truth snuck into that one. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah. You guys stick around so we can say hi afterwards. But everyone else, stick around after this show because at 8 o'clock, Caitlin Buckley is Lost in Sketch. It's a wonderful show. I believe that's happening tonight at 8 o'clock. So stick around and watch that right here on 2MB Studios. And make sure to subscribe. Subscribe to 2MB Studios. Join the Patreon. Support this wonderful channel, all these amazing artists. John, Richard, thank you so much. Everyone in the audience, yep, you said it best, John. Thank you for coming. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. Remember, stick around because we got more shows coming up.